Educating, informing, serving. Fact TV, keeping government honest.
You are watching a Fact TV presentation of the BFUHS School Board Meeting.
We are out of executive session. Priscilla?
I'd like to make an amendment to the motion to.
So let's
change
repeat
it
the motion
to-
because it's been a while.
Yeah, I'd like to,
There's a motion on the floor to
You wanna repeat
appoint.
it?
The motion on the floor is to appoint Kelly O'Ryan as principal of Bellows Falls Union High School and direct the superintendent of schools to negotiate a contract after the board.
I'd like to amend the motion to offer her an interim principal position and have Andy negotiate the contract and bring it back to the board for approval.
There's an amendment on the floor to appoint Kelly O'Ryan as interim principal and allow Superintendent Haas to negotiate a contract. Is there any discussion?
Speak to that. The reason for that is that there's been so much out there and so much, and the length of time and the time that we frame that we're doing it in and all of that. I just feel that that's a better position to be at this time and one that I can support. And so therefore, that's why I'm making that position.
Can I speak to that?
Yes.
So I would disagree with Priscilla's motion. I think Ms. O'Ryan needs the ability to do her job effectively. I think the staff and the students need to know that there is going to be a continual administration at the building and there's no room for any wiggle. And I think it's a vote of confidence in Ms. O'Ryan to do her job. And that an interim would put her at that disadvantage.
June's first, and then you're David.
So if we did an interim, that would be for the year. And that would give her an easy out if she wanted it and us an easy out,
So
or what is the benefit?
Molly, I think it's time for me to speak to my motion. And that is this. Members in the room should be well aware that under 2 years, we can boot a principal without cause, okay? And I think simply based on that statutory language, that the interim language is completely unnecessary in this situation. I have every confidence in Kelly O'Ryan's ability to discharge her responsibilities, which I will state once again was a confidence that I never enjoyed with John Broadley, which is why I voted against his hire to begin with. And I was very disappointed that he was not hired on an interim basis. However, in this situation, I think we have to, as I've said to some of you in email, we have the right person at the right time. Our responsibilities are enhanced and protected by the fact that under statute, if we don't think it's working out, we can take action on it that will have no consequences. And I think Andy's absolutely correct when he says that making her an interim diminishes her authority with staff. And I think that is a huge mistake walking into the situation that we have. We have, I think, some fundamental school climate issues, and the ability to address those school climate issues effectively, I think, is at least largely, if not completely, contingent upon Kelly O'Ryan's unquestioned authority to discharge her responsibilities as directed by this board. Thank you.
Can I have an answer to my question?
1 year.
Oh,
was-
wait, Priscilla, time out.
So answer to your question, there's an interim can be a day
Oh,
and it can be longer than a year. It's just a term that means you're not permanent. So it doesn't have any statutory limitations or anything. of that
okay,
nature.
thank
So-
you. So with the 2-year thing, we basically have that anyways.
So the statute that David's referring to, which I wish I could quote David and I can't, that's 16 something. Basically says that any principal who has not been in their position continual for more than 2 years can be dismissed by February 1st.
Jason and then Priscilla.
I really feel that, if we label it as an interim, everything with David, and I can specifically remember when we interviewed and hired John, I also voted no, and the reason why I voted no, specifically, I remember him saying he was going to need a year or so to get comfortable in a position. The guy was there for 12 years. And if you don't know what needs to be done after 12 years, why should it take you another year? And I fully and 100% confident that Kelly is going as and make a difference and make an impact with the education of the students every single day. And I think, and I really think that Priscilla should withdraw her amendment.
Priscilla,
You can ask me that. I'm not going to withdraw because there's not enough public school experience for me to want to vote for her as a permanent at this point. It gives her the year to be able to prove herself, and then we can change it to regular at that time. But if all the board members vote against it, that's up to them.
Rob, you got your hand up.
Yes, thank you. I would just caution our board. I know we've had a principal that is no longer here, but I would caution us to talk about that in a public forum. I don't think that's respectful to that person or to our community. Thank you.
Are we ready for the question?
You need to take a vote on.
Are we ready to vote on the amendment? I think we are. So there is an amendment on the floor right now to change the motion to have Kelly O'Ryan be principal to interim principal. And so, Rob, we're voting on the amendment. Yes for interim, yes for the amendment, or no for the amendment?
I'm voting no.
David?
No.
June?
No, but Brenda also.
She's on my list. Darcy?
No.
Jason?
No.
Priscilla?
Yes.
Mike?
No.
Brenda?
Can I abstain on this one?
So the amendment does not pass, and we have gone back to the motion for an appointment of Kelly O'Ryan as principal and to allow the superintendent to negotiate a contract. Is there any questions or discussions?
Is that a 1-year contract?
We haven't
that's- New.
Principals are.
I
That's
thought
what's-
that's what you were usually doing now.
So, but we haven't negotiated that at all yet, so
Oh,
I
okay.
would bring that back to the board.
Are we ready for the question? Rob, we have a motion on the floor to appoint Kelly O'Ryan as principal and to allow the superintendent to negotiate a contract. How do you vote?
No.
David?
Yes.
June?
Yes.
Darcy?
Abstain.
Jason?
Yes.
Priscilla?
No.
Molly? Yes. Mike?
Yes.
Brenda?
No.
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yeses. I have 1, 2, 3 noes. And 1 abstain. Motion passes. Welcome aboard.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
We are now to director's comments. Rob,
Thank you, Molly. I just want to talk, I voted no for this principal candidate, perhaps due to similar concerns regarding processes, which Ms. Orion stated partially causing her to withdraw her application after being selected. As a new board member, I ran for the position based on trust, honesty, and transparency. In addition, as a board member, it would be best practices to be informed before the general public so that we can be prepared to better answer questions and issues that might arise. I have no issues with Ms. Orion and her qualifications. However, as a board member, we must examine how we operate more closely. The chairperson needs to communicate effectively and in a timely manner to make sure that we can review information, ask questions, and make sure that we are making decisions that are best for BFUHS, not only today, but in the future. For example, prior to today's noon special board meeting, I was unsure if the vote is for an interim or permanent position. Again, to be given the press release simultaneously as it goes to the newspaper limited the board members' abilities to process things. I feel that this decision is being made in a vacuum and transparency is lacking. I believe it is time to partner with the superintendent to establish measurable goals for his position. I am certainly hopeful that those goals will be around communication, accountability, and transparency. In addition, it is my hope that these Friday afternoon called special meetings for noon on Monday will no longer take place. Our community deserves better action on all of our parts. And I want to just remind everyone that when we provide communication gaps, others will fill those gaps with their own information, right or wrong. To Ms. Orion, I commend you for your persistence and courage to stay with this muddy and messy process. I want you to know that I will be your biggest supporter as we partner to provide BFUHS the best educational experiences for our faculty and students, parents, and most importantly, our students. Thank you.
Brenda,
Yes, I'm about supporting Andy and the board and about trusting administration, but I did not feel this was okay. The process did not support our DEI values we seem to be so focused on and proud. There was no diversity. We did not offer the public at their request a few candidates. There was no inclusion. Not even the board members were included in proper process before the fact that it was made public. And I guess the expectation, it sometimes feels like the expectation leads towards a manipulation of some sort or an expectation of a rubber stamp. So I think like the bridge has to be administration, staff, board, parents, and community. There's a communication that needs to be there in all of that. And there's no equity because that kind of mixes with my previous comment. There was no equity of process on it. Speaking from where my stakeholder place that I am, and I don't usually speak personally, but I'm in the clergy stakeholder standpoint, and I'm looking at where we are in that standpoint and looking back, trying to move forward. And the misunderstanding or misinformation was we didn't walk our talk and talk our walk. So if we're going to talk a talk, we got to walk the walk. And I feel like we need to, I feel like myself in my thing is keep it simple, keep it real. So the transparency thing is part of what I'm talking about, because the result will be what we have in the church world. We have no influence, we have no voice, we have no trust from people because we just did that to ourselves. So I'm hoping that we do not do that to ourselves as a community and as a board and as an administration, and that we learn to work together and be authentic, because there will be many misunderstandings and misperceptions if we don't. And no matter what our expertise is, or our background, or our belief system, history will keep repeating itself. So we need to have integrity front and center. And nothing personal to Kelly. I was just, mine is more about process.
David,
Oh, thanks, Molly. It's not my lunch, but it does represent just a little bit less than a quarter of my annual stipend because I pushed the wrong button on the copy at Staples this morning and got the expensive paper. I have quite a bit to say about the process. It's all drawn from the public record. But I feel that this is not currently the time and place to get into it. So I'll say that for a regular board meeting. But yes, I do have some disappointments around the way that we ended up here, even though I think it's a happy ending. And I will leave it right there.
June,
I too am a little concerned about the whole process. I'm not sure if it's common practice or not, for references not to be checked before an interview happens, because me personally, I wouldn't want to waste my time with an interview if the references didn't check out and the candidate was not valid to begin with. So I'm not sure if, I mean, it's a learning curve for everybody, and I'm hoping that we learn a tremendous amount from what has happened in the last few months. The transparency thing, I would really, I'm hoping that the board is better informed. And in everything that I've been reading lately, we really need to focus on some board goals. I've been told and read that we're supposed to have those at our reorganizational meeting. We're supposed to come up with board goals every year. That was new to me over the weekend reading. And I would like to welcome Kelly, and if you need anything from me, I'm here. Congratulations.
Ashley,
Okay, so today is a fresh start. I don't want to hear about things in the past. We need to move forward. We have a new principal. We've got a board that needs to work together with our staff, our community, superintendent, for our students. Social media has taken a toll on us through this, and I'm exhausted. You guys must be exhausted. I just want a fresh start. We got to make this happen. We got to make things better and move forward. We can agree to disagree, but we got it. But things have to get better. Let's move forward. Leave stuff in the past. Thanks.
Mike,
Keep it short and sweet. Kelly is demonstrating something by sticking into this process, which is in real short supply these days, and that's trust. That's probably one of your first steps towards real leadership, establishing trust with others. And so I'm very encouraged from, I unfortunately not worked with Kelly before, so I'm at a disadvantage, but I'm very encouraged with her willingness to stick to this process and trust us, to be very honest with you. I'm not sure we've earned that yet, but I think we're going to earn that. And I will do everything physically possible to help you and make you successful, because making you successful will make our students successful. So I'm ready to go. Yeah.
Priscilla,
I think the most impressive quality that I saw in our new principal was her calmness at the community meeting and her calmness in dealing with the board as well. I think that was quite impressive. So I think it's something that definitely should be mentioned. As far as the process, and I wasn't going to speak to this, but since June brought up vetting and checking references, the day Andy told me that, well, the board was responsible, the committee was responsible for checking those references, and they could give him the job of doing that. But I think I wish I had that comment had been made to me at the very beginning of the principal process, because it was brought up on our very first day that we met as a committee that there might be a problem with a candidate. And that should have been vetted, that should have been checked then, rather than bringing that person for the interview process. And at the interview process, it was also mentioned that it needed to be done right away, and it was delayed and took time to do it. So that put us in a situation where we ended up with the process that we ended up with, which is unfortunate. Because yes, that made us look bad to the public. It made us look bad to the staff. It made the whole thing not go as smoothly as it should have. And so I would hope that any other candidates that are brought to the committees are well checked and end up with really good staff for our new principal to deal with this year, and that it works out very well, because I think we've had our staff. Talk about stuff though that's not real. I heard just the other day that we were losing a whole bunch more teachers than what I could count up. When I went through, the ones that I know are not coming back and resign. So that made me feel better too. Yeah, there's a lot of big comments out there.
Yeah.
Jason.
Kelly, I welcome you. You know, I think that you're gonna do a great job. And I think that what I've learned from that community meeting and prior is that you're a leader. And that is huge for our kids. It's huge for our staff. You know, we are in desperate need of leadership, and you know, we're kind of at the bottom of the mountain trying to push this big boulder up the mountain. And you, I believe, are the right person for the job at the right time. And I know you're going to do great things. And I really look forward to, you know, helping you in any way I can. And I believe that this board will also, because I think we all care. And I've said this from day one, you know, there's an extreme right and an extreme left. And at some point, we're gonna all have to come in to get to the middle and negotiate and be together. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think board members that are pointing fingers ought to really be careful of the three fingers, because when you point a finger, there's always three pointing back at you. So if you're a board member and you're calling out the chair for communication, you know, you're probably getting a lot of communication at home. So, you know, communication shouldn't be a problem. So, and then if you're also in charge of whatever your job is in the board, or if you're taking notes, you ought not to be posting stuff on social media that is inaccurate, because all that does is rile up, you know, everyone, the half truths that's out there. So if your job's to get notes within a certain amount of days to, you know, to meeting minutes, then you should do that first before you're posting anything on social media. I got off Facebook September 16th, 2022. It's probably the best decision I've ever had. So I advocate everyone getting off it, because all it is poison. So thank you and good luck.
Welcome aboard, Kelly. This will be my last meeting. I have sent my letter in for resignation, and I've been through a lot with this board, and I just think that it's time for me to step down. And Jason, tag, you're it until they vote you out. Meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.
This meeting was recorded by Falls Area Community Television, located at 1 Hospital Court, Bellows Falls, Vermont. If you would like a copy of the meeting, our phone number is 802-463-1613, or email us at fact810@gmail.com. Falls Area Community TV, keeping government honest.